most productivity advice is bullshit. And I'm saying this as someone who has spent most of his time in his early years figuring out the perfect systems. I don't wake up at 4 a.m., I don't journal or meditate every single day, and I've never done a dopamine detox. I've tried everything, but most things never worked. Until I created some simple systems that I believed in so much that I never had to create something new. These aren't systems that look the prettiest because most of the people who watch those videos, they masturbate mentally, and then when it's actually time for execution, they're clueless and nothing happens. You could have partied that whole time and you would have still gotten the same output. And these are the only systems that took me from being a struggling freelancer, barely able to make a lakh a month, to running an agency that's gonna hit $1 million ARR anytime now, and having two successful brands, a community business, and a new business launching soon. So let's not waste time. Let me show you the systems. All right, method number one, it's my to-do list method. I will show you guys how I do my daily to-do tasks, and all of it is not, let's say, a perfect system. इसमें बहुत कुछ freestyled होता है, and I have, let's say, sections to how I create a daily to-do list. Now, let's say if tomorrow is 30th Jan, I will decide the top priorities that I have. अभी के लिए the top priorities I have are, for example, me training. So I'll write train on the top right. I have a fitness coach. Throughout the day, I have to give in daily check-ins. So I'll write check in here. Now these sit at the top, non-negotiable है बिल्कुल ये. The first thing I have, it's every important client that we are working on. So we have, let's say, several tiers of clients in the agency. तो अगर मैं segment करूँ, so I would say around 30-40% of the clients are the ones where most of the rules do not apply. अगर हम ज़्यादा spend कर रहे हैं than usual, it's fine. If we are taking extra steps, if these are projects that have a great potential of becoming immense in the future, what other people would call, let's say, lighthouse clients. So I make sure that I have the important client check-ins in the start. Second thing is, I will always want to prioritize my brand. अभी तुमने बहुत सारे लोगों को देखा होगा जहाँ पे वो बोलते रहते हैं कि भाई ब्रांड को प्रायोरिटाइज मत करो, तुम बिजनेस ओनर हो, कंटेंट मत बनाओ. नेवर टेक दिस एडवाइस दैट तुम जिस भी इंडस्ट्री में हो, यू डू नॉट हैव टू क्रिएट कंटेंट, यू ऑल हैव टू. Nawal Ravikant tweeted in 2021, he said that eventually everybody will be in the creator economy, and it's moving towards that. It's looking very likely कि हम वहीं पे जाएंगे. Now the priority is not decided until I've written everything that I have to do. The second thing, it's brand. A brand may, the first thing I want to make sure is that I'm posting on Saksham. If I know that I do not have a post ready for that day, then I'm not going to have it. If I have, then I'll make sure that I have post as my top priority. The second thing is, for example, I'm shooting today, but tomorrow I have a short, like a shoot planned with Akshat. I have a shoot planned, with the Journey Club Q&A, and then I also have to shoot Instagram Reels separately. So I'll make sure that I have written Instagram shoot, but for that I also need to work on scripts. तो मेरे लिए इससे ज़्यादा लिखने की ज़रूरत है नहीं. I'll just write Instagram shoot and scripts. I'm already filming a YouTube video. तो जो मेरे कल का to do list था उसमें I had YouTube shoot. So brand is the first, let's say, segment of the daily to do list that we are working on. Second thing, it's Journey Club. So Journey Club के लिए we know that we have to work on a set of modules because we have set this goal that we want to finish all of the modules, preferably by the next retreat. So we'll have the modules and then we'll send content into production. The content that we shoot from the Journey Club Q&A, as well as the shoot that I have with Akshat, we send that content into production. I want to have a check-in with my social media manager because I take the lead on how the Journey Club content is done. Now, this is where the third sector of the entire, to-do list comes. It's Metro Media House. So isme I will always write just check-ins because every single day as the founder, I want to make sure that I know what's going on with every client. Second thing I always write, it's the IG team. So it's like, so I have the Instagram account of Metro Media House, and that plays a big part in the marketing of the agency. I want to make sure, because it's actually on the tomorrow to-do list, that I want to have a IG team call. I will also have a call with my creative Tushar. And then इसके अलावा जो भी tasks होंगे जो important है, I will write them here. So for example, let's say we have client X. I'm not going to write his name. We want to get his shoot done. So I'll write the client name, I'll write shoot, and then another thing I write about, it's called incoming money. So right now we're in the process of automating the invoicing and how everything is functioned. But right now, since we take several types of projects, so we have some ad hoc projects that we do. We work on the usual retainer basis, and then we have some clients who are here, let's say, giving the whole service a trial for a month. तो देन उन सब के लिए ऑनबोर्डिंग डिफरेंट होती है, उन सबका बिलिंग साइकिल वगैरह डिफरेंट होता है. तो आई वांट टू राइट इनकमिंग मनी, and then what I will do is then I will now just write all of the people who are going to pay me everything, that I have to get paid. And then because we are nearing towards the month end, and मेरा usually कंपनी का जो बिलिंग साइकिल है फॉर माई टीम मेंबर्स, दैट इज फ्रॉम 5th to 7th फॉर द क्रिएटिव्स एंड द ऑपरेशंस पीपल, एंड देन इट्स मिड मंथ फॉर ऑल ऑफ द एडिटर्स एंड डिजाइनर्स. तो उसके लिए आई वांट टू मेक श्योर दैट द इनवॉइसेस आर बीइंग डन. तो दीज आर लाइक द बेसिक टास्क दैट आई हैव टू डू फॉर टुमारो. अब इसके अलावा जो चीज़ें आती है, let's say these are admin tasks. So we are working on the decor of this house. So I'll write order हाउस डेकोर, एंड देन इसके अलावा जो भी मेरे एडमिन टास्क होंगे, फॉर एग्जाम्पल लेट्स से मेरे को मेरी बाइक का ओडोमीटर ठीक कराना है, तो आई जस्ट राइट बाइक फिक्स, एंड देन आई जस्ट लिस्ट डाउन एवरीथिंग. अब क्या होता है कि विद द 2 page टू डू लिस्ट, एनी नोट्स दैट आई टेक here, or let's say if I have a call tomorrow, so I'll just write, let's say, discovery call with X or closing call with X. तो अब क्या होगा कि any let's say final outcomes that come out of meetings or tasks that I complete, मैं उनका जो final action step होता है, I always write them around the bottom right of every page, and then what I do is I immediately write this same thing again on my to-do list. So I leave all of this blank space for newer things that happen throughout the day, and pretty much this is how I have been taking my notes for the last 2 years and some change. इसके साथ में I've always talked about this one idea that I want to measure my progress based off of what I've been doing. तो एक जो documentation का तरीका है that I've been doing for a long time, I've talked about it several times on my Instagram as well, is that at the last page of my notebook, I'm not going to show you, I will always write some objective things that are happening. Like say that's the company MRR. It's how much followers I have on Saksham. It's how much followers I have on YouTube. The members that we have in Journey Club, or let's say मेरे agency account पे कितने followers है, or let's say any other project that we are doing that we can track with numbers. I will write them here, and then I will write the start date of the notebook. तो let's say अगर मैंने मेरे notebook को just scratch से start किया है, I will write 30th January here, and then I will document these numbers, and then I'll forget about it. जब वो पूरा notebook end हो जाएगा, and like I said, I literally do not have a to-do list other than this. तो ये जब सारी चीज़ें हो जाएंगी, इसके बाद में आई विल look at my numbers after the notebook is finished, and it's always a great reminder of progress that you have made. So overall, if I were to give a summary, you categorize into buckets what you're working on. Sure, for me there are several things. For you it might just be your brand, or it might be your brand and the business that you're working on. If there are any admin tasks, let's say sending emails or talking to somebody, or let's say if you want to meet somebody over a cup of coffee, या कोई भी चीज़ें, write them on the left. You keep a big part of it empty, so that throughout the day, if anything is happening, you can write them here. And that's how you categorize your to-do list, and this is pretty much how it's done. अगर मुझे यहाँ पे कोई टास्क है जो मुझे पता है कि कल के दिन होना चाहिए था, एंड देन आई हैवंट डन इट येट, तो मैं आई जस्ट गो back to my to-do list from the last day, and I'll just write those tasks again. So that is pretty much the whole to-do list system. You do not need separate to-do lists. I believe you do not even need documented to-do lists in your laptop, या फिर तुम्हें कोई crazy widgets या कुछ भी नहीं चाहिए. Fuck all of them. Just have a nice notebook and a pen, and that's like pretty much it. So let's move towards the next thing, which is how do I actually work on these things consistently over the week. Let's go. All right, kids, let's work on the second method, and that is pretty much, let's say, how I batch days for businesses. So for context, I have my brand, let's call it W. We have Metro Media House, we have Journey Club, we have Business X under the works, and let's say we have, I'll just call it Z. These are, let's say, extra tasks that I'm working on with my agency. So for me, I have to prioritize everything. बट द वन थिंग आई नो इज कि मैं सब कुछ रोज नहीं कर सकता. तो usually like what I've done is on Tuesday afternoons and on Thursday evenings I tend to focus on why Saksham, because I know कि why Saksham is the biggest driver of people for me. तो मुझे अगर लोग हायर करने, I have to build my own presence. This has to be one of the biggest priorities for me. That is why I make sure that I have two big work blocks of focus on my brand. Now, Metro Media House is something that I work on pretty much, let's say, the whole week. Right now, I work on Metro Media House, let's say, 7 days a week. But then I will usually have 1 or 2 days off from the company. And these usually tend to be, let's say, Saturday. And these would be any one day in the week. Now, after that, Journey Club, we have our weekly Q&As on Friday. And then I will usually find time during the weekends to work on the modules and let's say any new discussions that we need to have. For example, tomorrow is a Friday and tomorrow we are recording for the Journey Club. Kal raat ko Q&A bhi hai. So it's like, big focus on this. And then Journey Club is like one thing that I, again, do not work on daily because I have an amazing social media manager and she pretty much takes care of everything that needs to be done in terms of the social media content. Now, Business X, this is where I would say things will change a lot more क्योंकि मुझे ना इन सब चीज़ों को थोड़ा थोड़ा कम प्रायोरिटाइज करना पड़ेगा बिकॉज दिस इज अ न्यू एंड एम्बिशियस थिंग we just have to put more time into it. And for that, if it requires 4 days a week, I'll be at it. Because at this point, Metro Media House as a business is it's essentially run by my leaders in the business. So I actually do not need to be involved that much. Let's say if I have new projects within the company, Z, I'll be working on it. Or if there's anything else, for example, let's say sales, because sales is still something that I personally do because I've seen that I pretty much close every discovery call that is qualified that I get on. So for me, throughout the week, I have days where I work on my brand, work on my agency, work on Journey Club, work on Business X. But let's say if you're a beginner, तुम्हारे लिए अभी दो ही चीज़ें होंगी in priority, which is work on your business and work on your content. I would say that throughout the week, every single day, the first half of your day, you should only be working on increasing the visibility of your business. There's something that even Alex Ramosi said is that 4 hours a day, every single day for the entire week, you have to focus on building the visibility of your company. Now, that would mean कि तुम लोग DMs कर रहे हो, you are creating content for your company, you are doing emails, तुम VSLs बना रहे हो, तुम ads कर रहे हो, whatever it is, first half of the day, only focus goes on this. Content is something that I would say should not require your entire week. You should be able to create enough content for yourself with just 2 or 3 days of work. You just do the scripting, you get the filming done. I'm telling you, as a business owner and as a creator, the one hire that you all need is a video editor. So this is pretty much how I do it. तुम्हें खुद का शेड्यूल बनाना पड़ेगा. जो मैंने ये शेड्यूल अभी तुम्हें बताया, it's all done after a very rigorous lifestyle. You have to know what's your priority. अगर तुम्हारे पास में पैसा है तुम्हें कंटेंट बना के मजा आ रहा है, make this your priority. If money is something that you want to work on, business should be the one thing that you worry about. अगर कोई भी चीज़ तुम करे जिससे तुमको पैसा नहीं बन रहा, that should not be prioritized at that point. So one thing that I want you all to take away from this is that this is a system that works for me. But even you being an absolute beginner, you have to have days where you're only working on your business. You need to have some time blocks throughout the week where you're working on content. Not one of these things has priority over any of them when the time is for that particular task. So that's pretty much I would say method number 2. Before we go into method number 3, if you're new here, बहुत सारे लोग तुम हो जिन्होंने सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है and you watch the whole thing. I don't know how selfish you can be. I'm a creator. I have a good business. I want to help a lot more people. So make sure that you subscribe. Okay, method number 3. It's what I would call small wins. So you will realize that once you spend enough time in the online industry or pretty much any business that you're working on, having consistent small wins It's one of the things that keep momentum going. One thing that I've instilled in all of my team members, and one thing that I'm striving for on a daily basis, is that I want to stack small wins. By small wins, these would be as simple as me waking up on time, or me eating well throughout the day, or let's say me doing my best in my workouts. And होता क्या है कि every small win or every small yes, it enforces you to make a better decision the next time, so that you have your next set of yes or your next set of small wins faster. Because मैंने मेरे सारे team members को भी ये चीज़ सिखाई है, because let's say they have to get a client's shoot done, or they have to get scripts done. So the more yeses or the more small wins that they can get, किसी client को काम पसंद आया, या फिर there's a client who referred somebody to us, या फिर कुछ भी चीज़ जो हम कर रहे हैं, I just want smaller wins. And होता क्या है कि इसके बाद में you build extreme momentum, and at that point comes the point in your life where you go all in. For example, the phase that I am in currently with my agency, I know that we are right there in terms of hitting $1 million in ARR. So now I will put all of my focus into making sure that we hit that goal. So these small wins, they help you stack up momentum, and when you feel you see that milestone very close to you, you have to make sure that you enter the period of, personally, I call that no schedule. No schedule is pretty much like a lifestyle where I only care about my health, my work, and my close ones. And then I'll put all of my focus into making sure that I'm the healthiest version of myself. I am putting all of my effort into my work, and I'm making sure that I'm taking care of my close ones. इसके अलावा nothing else matters, because ये जो small wins है, जो momentum बनता है, and you approach it with this mindset, you will realize that you hit those big goals sooner than you initially thought. So this is like a small mentality that I want all of you to have. I've seen too many people जो 10 DMs भेज के cold outreach बंद कर देते हैं, या फिर they upload 20 videos and they quit. They haven't approached the small win yet. Let's say if you're uploading content and तुम्हें usually 1000 views आते हैं average पे, but you get a video where you hit 2000 views. That's a small win. Like, that should be enough for you to understand कि this is what I need to build momentum. Pretty small mental model, but this has helped me pretty much build my entire career, because I am at my baseline a very optimistic person, and मुझे बहाने चाहिए किसी चीज़ को अच्छा इमेजिन करने के लिए. तो अगर कोई भी छोटी सी भी चीज़ अच्छी जा रही है, I make sure that I have the biggest impact as a byproduct of it. All right, so this is method number 4, a system that I have been using recently as a content agency owner where we do a lot of stuff. I do not have, let's say, certain packages that I sell. So over the last, I think, 2 months or so, I have basically fed my entire way of running a business into ChatGPT. So it pretty much knows every single thing about my clients, what is their habit, like, what's their priority order, or how much they pay, what's their monthly billing date, and then what's their history of working with us, are they an easy client to work with or not, and then the margins that I like to keep with my agency, or all of the other smaller things. So I want to show you how you can pretty much do that for yourself. I have basically gotten everything in terms of the structure from my own GPT. So with the countless amount of conversations that I've had my GPT create a document where I have this prompt. Now with this prompt, all we're going to do is we're just going to copy all of it, and then we will paste it into GPT. And this is going to be, let's say, the start of you training your GPT to become more of a business architect for you. What I mean is ki, let's say if you have a service and you're not really sure about what is it that you should code, I believe doing resource management, and by resource management, it's like, okay, if you sign a new project, how much is it that you're spending? How much are the margins? How much, cushion that you need to have to make profitable enough? So if this is like something that you want to do and you're confused about pricing and all, I'm assuming that the costs that will go into your business, you are at least aware about that, and some of the nitty gritty about your business. So this prompt will actually ask you a bunch of questions. Okay, so it'll not just, let's say, absorb this and it's gonna create the whole thing out of nowhere. It's going to ask you every single little detail about your business. And then after that, once you have fed that, continuously, let's say, create one pager documents of summaries of the clients that you work with or the clients that you want to work with, every single breakdown that you would like to have, and then just keep on feeding this, right? tum project bana sakte ho. You can have that as a separate file inside your project. So let's say if you have one central document where you document everything about a particular client that you have, then put it there, and then it'll have even more context around how you want to approach this. So I'm going to answer some of these questions. It's going to take a bit of time for me to type everything. I'm going to answer it, and then I'm going to show you how I do, or let's say how I create some quotes for my service. So yeah, give me a minute. All right, so I've fed it some numbers in general. It gave me a breakdown of what things would look like, and then now it just does a lot of brainstorming. So let's say if I give it a pitch that, okay, I want to work with a client, and for that project I'm gonna put some details here, and then let's see what this model comes up with. And then of course I actually didn't answer everything because again it's a tutorial, but you guys can, and then it will be way better than this actual tutorial. So let's say I have a software company that wants 20 videos a month, and to or let's say, just to make it easy, post production only. So we'll do AI voice gen, edit, style curation, editing, and creative support. I'll spend around 8k INR per reel. Let's say the creative salary per project would, um, creative salary of 15k, ops salary of 15k, and this is like just me talking about per project for now. 15-20k, I'm just putting number. Help me draft the code for this service, keeping everything you bought my. Yep. So I've just given it a basic kind of a rundown of, let's say, a potential lead that might want to work with. So I've given it a total, like, let's say, gross margin pricing. And then, based on this, let's say my total cost is like 2 lakh rupees. I'm going to quote around 5.5 or 5. Okay. So it actually gives me email that I can use for, the quote. And then the good thing about this model is that it actually asks you good follow-up questions on how to, let's say, upsell, downsell, or if you want to compress this as a proposal, all of it. So this is pretty much the entire, like, kind of system that I've been using for 2 months or so to have good pricing. Because sure, how I actually do it is I have defined two base packages for my service, and then I just use those base packages as a reference, and I've told it that, okay, these are the ideal scenarios that I want to always aim per client. But then of course the needs might be different, so I have to change. But I also do not want to sacrifice on the amount of money that I can make on a per project basis. So this is how I do it. You guys can get the entire GPT prompt from the description. And then yeah, let's move on to the next method. All right, so that was method number 4. If you are a service provider, you just have started to build your agency, or you have built your agency to a decent point, or if you're a creator, या फिर you're just essentially existing in the online economy or the creator economy, and you want to learn how to build a proper career on the internet in the form of a service business or a product business, or as a creator, highly recommend you to join the Journey Club. The link is in the description. It's our community where we teach hundreds and hundreds of people how to build a stable online career, and the wins speak for themselves. Go check it out. Link is in the description. All right, so this is method number 5. It's not no nut, it's non-negotiable actually. Usually the people who seem obsessed, or people who have an extreme way of living, they are not that obsessed in most scenarios. It's just that they are way more disciplined, and an average person is not at all disciplined. Discipline is doing things that you don't like, but you still do it because you know that in the long term it will help you out. And this is me operating solely as a business owner. It's that I want you all to have strict non-negotiables in your life. And these do not actually have to be about work at all. I would say that I would categorize my non-negotiable in four aspects. My first is, let's say, fitness. इसके बाद में I want to make sure that my mental is right. Third thing is I always want to prioritize my family, and then the next one, of course, that's work. If I do these things, I will make sure that I have a very holistic, healthy lifestyle. Okay. So I would say I'll just list down some of my non-negotiables. Number one is that I have my coffee to start my day. I love my coffee routine. मैं order भी कर सकता हूँ, right? I'll save time. But I love the routine of brewing my coffee, sitting with it, and then making sure that I enter the work in a right headspace. Second thing is I want to make sure that I have my daily important agency tasks taken care of as fast as possible. क्योंकि अगर मुझे बाकी के businesses भी चलाने हैं तो आई डोंट वॉन्ट टू बी देयर ऑलवेज वरिंग अबाउट कि भाई एजेंसी में भी क्या चल रहा है. श्योर, इट्स माई मेन बिजनेस एंड आई विल ऑलवेज वरी अबाउट इट, बट बेस्ट केस क्या होगा कि मैं पहले ही सारे टास्क को कर दूँ एंड I can just focus on the other things, right? Third thing, it's very important. Sure, I'm in a people business. I'm a creator. I have, so endless, like lakhs and lakhs of followers. Still, I want to make sure that I minimize my people interaction for the first half of the day. So around until 3 p.m., I never have meetings. अगर किसी को भी मेरे से मीटिंग करनी है, whether it's a client or let's say if it's a super important call, then only I'll do it. But apart from that, I usually do not talk to that many people before 3 p.m. मैं कितने लोगों से बात करता है usually, like पूरे दिन में?
4, 2, 3 मे भी 3 लोगों से
ज्यादा लोगों से नहीं.
4.
हाँ,
नहीं, टीममेट्स रख ले तो 4.
टीममेट्स एंड देन फैमिली, राइट? तो द होल आइडिया इज ऑलवेज कि मैं अगर मेरा पीपल इंटरेक्शन स्टार्टिंग में कम रखूंगा, सो व्हेन आई विल हैव दोज लेथार्जिक पार्ट्स ऑफ माई डे, लेट्स से मैंने जस्ट खाना खाया है या फिर आई हैव पुट इन अ बिग शिफ्ट ऑफ वर्क, तो मुझे थोड़ा सा रेस्ट चाहिए. दैट इज व्हेन आई विल प्रॉब्ली टॉक टू मोस्ट पीपल. मेरे सेल्स कॉल्स यूजली आफ्टर 3 p.m. Until about 5 p.m. होते हैं, और if I have to take sales calls let's say late at night, they are from 10 to 1 a.m. because इसके अलावा जो टाइम होगा उसमें I would have taken care of these things. I usually make sure that when I'm working on Saksham, or let's say when the priority of the day is any other business other than Metro Media House, so I typically tend to not do any meetings on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I essentially have around 3 or 4 days in the entire week where I'm taking meetings. Another thing, unless it's extremely important, I'm not gonna take a meeting during the weekend. अगर मैं weekend पे किसी client के साथ में meeting ले रहा हूँ, the whole idea there will be that I'm only doing it with the sole purpose of building a good relationship. Third thing is I will always have a fix, or let's say a very intense focus on my fitness and my diet. So I eat the same 3 meals a day plus one protein shake. I have the same supplements every day. I go to the gym 6 times a week, if not 7. Right? People might think कि भाई rest day वगैरह चाहिए. We do not need rest days, right? We are athletes.
I'm a high performance athlete. Athletes sweat. Sweat, baby.
Sure, rest days चाहिए होता, but it's just that we love working out. Another, some random things that I want to talk about. Let's say one in particular is I'm not gonna watch a TV show that has all of its episodes released at once. अगर मैं vacation पे हूँ, मैं घर गया हूँ, then only I will watch a full TV show, or let's say binge कर रहा हूँ. But right now, for example, I'm watching Hell's Paradise, I'm watching Jujutsu Kaisen, and then I'm also watching Sentenced to be a Hero. So these are 3 weekly anime. तो मुझे पता है कि मैं ज़्यादा टाइम नहीं खराब करूँगा इनमें, right? I'm not gonna binge any show. For example, right now it's Thursday night. Right after this, I'm gonna watch Jujutsu Kaisen, but I'm gonna make sure कि मैं उसके जस्ट बाद में सो जाऊँ, क्योंकि उसके आगे एपिसोड है नहीं. And I would say the biggest non-negotiable that I have carried on, I think since 2017, since I started living away from my parents, is that I talk to my mom 3 times a day, and then out of which 1 or 2 times I also talk to my dad. क्योंकि if I'm not talking to them, like they are the people who make everything worth it. And अगर मैं उनको मेरे हर चीज़ों के बारे में नहीं बताऊंगा, if me growing up I do not build a big a great connection with my family, then what's it all for? अगर मैंने सारे पैसे बना लिए but I do not have a good connection with my parents, then I'm not going to enjoy that money because the people who made me, they do not get the outcome of it. So I make sure कि as I'm growing older, I will always prioritize spending time with my family. Because if you have, if you have seen that graph, if you live under a rock and तुमने नहीं देखा हो, the time that you spend with your parents decrease after you turn 20. You'll realize the impact of it. So that was pretty much it. These are the 5 systems I would say I've built for myself. Might not look like systems, तुमको जो अभी का एजेंटिक एआई वाला जो एरा चल रहा है, तुम्हें वो वाली चीज़ें नहीं दिखेंगी यहाँ पे. श्योर, आई एम वर्किंग ऑन सम ऑफ देम, बट वंस दोज आर परफेक्टेड, दैट्स व्हेन आई विल show them to you guys. These are 5 of the systems or methods that I follow daily as a business owner, and these are the exact things that I've been doing for years now since I started my career. And मेरा एक जो point main है तुमको बताने का with this entire video is that everything on the internet, it's made to look pretty so that you get into it and then you mentally masturbate to the point where you can't execute, and then you just become the end viewer of an advertisement or of a content piece. तो उसका net outcome और net positive outcome नहीं आता है. And these are simpler things that if you just implement in your life and you stay disciplined for a long amount of time, I guarantee you that you're gonna feel proud of the person you become. And if you genuinely feel proud of the person that you become, then you are, living a successful life. That's pretty much it for this video. If you guys would want to learn more about, let's say, some technical things of how I run my agency, or technical things around how I do content for my own brand, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.